Okay, welcome to another Larpcast. My name is Ryan Artenen here, and we are showing some updates. We got some special guests we are lining up for Larpcast, and we're going to talk about multiple game systems as well as some garb and how to play some characters. We have been moving a lot of our YouTube videos, and we have quite a bit to talk about, so stick around. We are getting started now. So welcome everyone. Just past Memorial Day 2024, and we hope you all had a wonderful Memorial weekend, relaxing. We didn't. We had some tornadoes go through the area. It was one of the historic once in a decade scenarios where there was tons and tons of tornadoes. We had loss of power for multiple days, and yeah, it was a good time. If you hear stuff in the background, like clicking blinkers and that kind of stuff, it's because I'm driving. Usually record some of these podcasts while I'm on my way to do some sort of work. And sometimes it's doing deliveries. Sometimes, like today, we're going to be filming up in Missouri. So we do. And we were able to cut out a lot of the windshield boredom with doing something cool, talking about LARP. So getting started, we want to do an update. Larpcraft really hasn't seen too much activity. I've done a few updates on the website this weekend. And then we are still moving along with Viscenta. I had updated. I've been taking videos off of YouTube and putting the reviews on Backroad Reviews, which is like our main review website that we review everything. We've got stuff from a lot of different genres, a lot of different recreations. I've been doing this for almost 15 years and putting it all on one site, and the LARP stuff is going to be on there. So hopefully we'll expose some people to LARP that wouldn't otherwise be searching for it. And that was the hope for that, as well as showing that, LARP is a big part of reviews that we've done in the past. We have over 150 product reviews, as well as lots of adventure stuff. So the adventure stuff we'll probably put on the Larpcraft site. We are moving a lot of our content from just YouTube to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X completely. They actually switched the domain to x.com. So that is there to stay. And Rumble. So we want to not have everything just hosted on YouTube. We want to reach as many people as we can in as many different ways as we can. And that requires going off of one platform. So like Facebook and YouTube will have a lot of the adventure stuff, not so much of the product reviews. Twitter is going to have pretty much everything, or X is going to have everything. X we have the basic account for that, so we can post longer videos and that kind of stuff, find more access. Rumble has really been taking off for us on other channels. LARP has about, time of this recording, we have about 10 followers on Rumble, but they have continued to be a staple in the alternative to YouTube, so we want to encourage and use that platform as well. We do have 1,000-ish people on the Reddit subgroup, but we don't post there very often. We lost a lot of the audience retention there, but we do still post there from time to time and, post it on Tumblr and other stuff. So the point is we're trying to reach more people. And as game designers, if you're listening to this, trying to reach an audience using a multi-social media platform approach, as well as having a good website. You want to kind of have some of your ducks in a row before you start approaching people, be it just like a regular, like make a Facebook group, before you get to where you're advertising to other people. Most groups do very well organically in just, getting a few people out of the local park, swinging some swords, doing some crafting, talking with your local game stores for card games, board games, and asking if you can collaborate for live action role play, because a lot of the stuff they do for D&D and other games would, something where they can take a character off of a chair, essentially, and apply it in a real scenario. So that has a lot of potential. Locally last week, yeah, well, I think it was last week or the week before, I went into one of our local game stores here in our little sleepy town of 13,000 people. And, some of them, the guys who own that, the husband and wife team, they used to do Dago here. So they're pretty familiar with, garb and full contact, boffer sports, that kind of stuff. And they were, more than happy to talk about collaborating or, doing some sit down stuff at their place. So that's the kind of synergy that you're looking for, especially when you're starting. Get an idea of what type of LARP you want to do. So like before you approach somebody, say, hey, we're going to swing some foam. That's cool. But kind of have an idea. Hold on a second here. On it. Oh, okay. So you want to have an idea of what type of LARP you want to be involved in. And the people who are going to be running the LARP, typically, the people who are going to step up and volunteer a crap ton of time to put these things together have a say, the most say, in my opinion, as to what type of LARP you're going to do. And, basically it comes down to three categories. You have the no touch or light touch LARPs, who will be more prop heavy, story driven, kind of things. And you see a lot of those in the inner cities where it's hard to get places to host events if you're doing context sports of any kind or contact role play. Then you have your medium immersion or medium contact. So you got, strikes count as hit points kind of deal. You'll have light, or most of the time it's like a medium hit system. So you're still using theatrical weapons, but you have to be, it's not going to be prop. Like you see some of those really detailed LARP weapons online that wouldn't be good for striking, but look really cool as wall hangers or, no touch props. That wouldn't be really something you would use in a medium contact game system. A lot of the LARPs fall into that medium contact stuff where they can use theatrical, high immersion weaponry that's still safe from, Epic Armory, Calamassel, Windlass, etc. And then you have the full contact boffers types who are using like foam noodle. If the weaponry is more robust in protection, so you can hit harder, you can have full contact. And there's still some heavy immersion, light immersion. Most of those are the medium to light immersion type events because the weaponry and the props that have to be used for actually hitting people have to be so much more stout to handle the abuse that they don't really have a lot of, it doesn't really look like a sword, so those are the basic three categories. And so you as a game designer, or if you're going to start hosting this in your area, you have to decide which way you want to go, or just start getting people together and doing some crafting, start making some garb or some props, start making your coins, that kind of stuff. We've got some tutorials on our Larpcast YouTube channel, soon to be on the other channels as well. And we'll also probably put it on Viscenta. We're going to probably take the community off of Larpcast as a whole and maybe just make that a directory listing of all the different LARPs. So we'll categorize it on larpcraft.com and then just share everybody's stuff, because really it's just about getting people together and supporting as many groups as we can. So Viscenta.com is where we'll put our actual game system there. I think we kind of screwed that up last time where we put Myths and Legends right on Larpcraft, and we didn't have, people thought we were just exclusive, and while we were doing our own thing, we did also want to promote other game systems, and we went to other game systems all the time, helped, NPC and other stuff. And, just like I said, it doesn't really matter, but, there was some confusion there because the Larpcraft name is so broad, and it should represent more things and allow others to see it. So that's kind of what we're going to try to do different this time. Viscenta is going to have forum-based role play as well, just like Myths and Legends did. And we're writing the rules up right now and we're going to have heavy video for the rules. We're going to be explaining everything and talking through everything. There's going to be videos and audio and demonstrations, and the whole book will be in audio and video format along with examples. I think that was one of our strengths in Myths and Legends. We were ahead of the curve on a lot of that stuff, and now other game systems we're happy to see are doing that kind of stuff, because as people progress to more video and audio driven stuff, it's a good way to get people's foot in the door. Once they're involved, you can do more heavy text and reading kind of stuff. People usually don't mind that once they're past that initial honeymoon phase. So yeah, we'll be putting that up. I think we're not going to do Zinforo forums anymore. It's expensive. It's hard to keep up with. We're just probably going to go with WordPress and that kind of stuff, because we can still keep track of coinage and stuff. It won't be as nice as the old forums, but it'll be pretty close till I got other radios going. Probably should turn my other radios off before I start a Larpcast. Okay, so the premise of getting people together and gaming in a society that we live in now, we talked about this in previous Larpcasts. It's so important to get people out into the woods and interacting with each other, physically, face-to-face, eye contact, reading each other's gestures and that kind of stuff. We're becoming a society that's having less and less interaction in the physical sense, and we need to break free from that and go back to our roots. It's a very healthy way to experience mental clarity, physical awareness, and physical ability. You get to understand yourself better through role play, and you become a more grounded individual in most cases when you understand how you can handle adversity in a game, which you can apply then to real life. I've seen it over many years of people growing up through role play and grabbing a confidence level they wouldn't have had with themselves if they wouldn't have done this kind of stuff. So if you've never tried LARP, this is definitely something that you should consider going down to your local game or getting together on a crafting session. Most people want you to go to a practice session before you just jump in with a game, or just start, get and understand the story. A lot of the storylines are online. You can look them up. You can start to get a feel for the characters and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Doing more interviews, and these interviews are, again, talking with players. We got a player series. When we first started doing our videos, we did what are some of the more fun things you can do in LARP? What are your most memorable experiences? We talk about people's characters and how they develop them. We talk about how to create good role play by thinking outside the box and developing characters that are memorable and fun to play. So we had some of those interactive series, and we want to go back to that and get people's takes on that. So if you are interested in joining us for an interactive session on our Larpcast, please feel free to reach out. Post below this podcast, or get a hold of us on larpcast.com, and we will schedule something, or one of those multiple social medias. You can send us a message, and hopefully we see it. Usually we're pretty good at checking stuff at least once a week. So that's that. If you're looking for, we can definitely do Larpcasts in the video sense. We don't have to always do audio podcasts. Video podcasts work very well as well. I don't have too much of a studio set up right now, but I do, garb and stuff. So we can do live streams. We can do recorded sessions. We can do, whatever people want to do, and go that route. We can do, weekend, evening tavern talks. We can do just whatever works. We want to show all aspects of this lifestyle, this hobby, this community. So the more interaction we can have, the better. Viscenta is going to be, going back to that, it's going to be very focused on helping small groups start, just like we did with Myths and Legends, where we want to have local hosts running their own games and being a voice to modify the game system or to have interaction with the storyline and quest lines throughout the Viscenta world, and, being able to travel to each other's areas and interacting with each other's characters when it's available, and then also having the world events once a year. And then once we have established game systems in multiple countries, having multiple world games in multiple countries. So these are some of the things that we want to do, and we're really excited. The Larpcraft Myths and Legends system was a good introduction. We ran that for over 10 years, and we got an idea of what's too simple, what's too complex through the years of, like, if you go through hours and hours of our meetings, you can kind of see what we've all learned collectively, and we're using that experience to build Viscenta in a very straightforward way that's more history-based, but has the fantasy elements and teaches people about historical everything and using it in our games. So a lot of the professions, as we had mentioned in previous Larpcasts, are going to be very accurate to historical text on, like, what things that you can do, craft, use for remedies and healing and that kind of stuff, and then still having some of the supernatural elements as well, because that's still relevant in historical text, as well as magic and that kind of stuff, which they believed in back then. Witchcraft and that kind of thing is, also in there. So demonic possessions. I mean, basically the stuff that we've all enjoyed role-playing with, light versus dark and, potions and magic. All of that has been relevant in history as humans have progressed. So basically, if it's mentioned in historical text, we can look at bringing it into the game system as long as it's appropriate. And some of these things we want to keep in mind. We can't be doing a lot of, there's not going to be direct references to, real deities, because we still have to play in public parks and get along with all of these things in real society. So we have to make sure that people will let us use their properties. We can't be building altars and, the old grandma walking her dog isn't going to understand. We're not, worshiping the devil or doing any voodoo or any of that crap. Playing pretend, when we make pretend really look real, the outside world will see it as real. So while that's great for immersion, it's bad from a public perception standpoint, and you'll lose access to stuff. You'll lose your ability to host events. You'll get the community mad at you, or they'll call you a bunch of stuff, and you don't want that. So we got to be very careful, and we'll be teaching people how to avoid some of those negativities. And again, we learned through experience on a lot of this stuff, and the way we set up Larpcraft and Myths and Legends and now Viscenta, it's going to be very clear how to avoid certain things, and it will get you a lot of success in growing a local group and having it where you will have the ability to get players. Because if we don't have players, this doesn't work. So we have to be mindful of how we are marketing ourselves and to reach a type of person that we would want playing our games. So in a sustainable way, without, bringing a lot of out-of-game drama and that kind of stuff. If people are coming here to a game, and that's kind of some of the stuff we talk about in our hosting chats. If somebody comes to a game and they are just the wrong stuff, like they're confrontational, out of character, they don't do the right stuff, and they interact poorly, they have a bad persona, they're a negative person. These are types of things where, as hosts and as other players, we can self-administer and say, we don't want that type of person at our games. You can't be a sore loser. Everyone's going to die. You get resurrected, you move on, or your character gets killed and you start a new character, don't get bent out of shape. It's a game. And we're simulating a medieval lifestyle or a historical lifestyle where people died a lot. And it's just the way it is. So that's not out of the realm of, it's not, you know what I'm saying? So attracting the right people and turning away the wrong people, being strong enough to turn away the wrong people is usually pretty hard. Or turning away people who can't separate the fantasy from reality. That's becoming more of an issue, where people want to bring their fantasy to life in a way that's not sustainable, not socially acceptable, not mentally healthy, and could present a risk to families and children. So we want to identify that kind of stuff and be very vocal and upfront about things that if you're living an alternative lifestyle that's not family friendly and unacceptable to the community, if we allow too many of that kind of thing in, we won't be getting a lot of players. We won't be getting access to locations. It all plays together where, you got to take into consideration these things into consideration. Our goal is to get as many players as we can, to get the best role play that we can, and to develop friendships that's going to last a lifetime. And you got to kind of pick and choose on this kind of stuff. So I think I've beaten that into a dead horse on the last couple podcasts. And again, we really want to stress this because it can make or break your LARP. And these types of things have broken LARPs in the past. And it's unfortunate because we had some really cool players, get led astray or pick up something that, became a threat to the whole game system or to the local clubs. And it's unfortunate. I don't know how else to say it, but you're not going to, again, it just comes down to, do you want a lot of players or not? Do you want to be able to succeed or not? Do you want to have the ability to play at cool locations and build cool props or not? So I don't know. It's just kind of common sense stuff. We can talk more about that. Well, when we do our videos, and explaining this stuff in a video is much easier than audio, and putting it in text will require a video element because some of this stuff written in text be like, what? But when you understand it by, getting the context of why we're doing this, because if we don't do this, we're not going to get enough players to keep this game alive. So hopefully that makes sense. There hasn't been too much progression. Okay, so backing up, our homesteads, I am running with all the irons in the fire all the time and building a media company and doing a lot of community outreach stuff for our homesteading groups and prepping groups. So it takes a lot of my time away from the roleplay stuff. But a lot of those preppers and homesteaders, they love going to the Ren fairs and playing medieval and that kind of stuff. So I think we're going to get a lot of the people that, we've met as we traveled down south. I think a lot of them would have fun doing this kind of stuff too. So again, as long as it's done in the right way, it'll be fun. And that's pretty much, we'll cover that. We'll end that chapter on that. Okay. Larpcast was able to host other LARP podcasts as well. I tried to reach out to other defunct podcasts for LARP because a lot of it was really good stuff. And there's a lot of saltiness and no returns. And I don't know. Because we own our own server and we can host our own stuff, we could keep those archives alive. Podcast literally restarted because we have our stuff on Buzzsprout or something, and I had to move I gotta stop paying for that. So It's like, it's silly because we already do our own web design and I build websites for people and that kind of stuff. So it's like, this is kind of ridiculous to do this for other people and not for ourselves. So to like really kick this thing back off. If there's certain, the game system directory idea, I do a pretty good job with directories online, and whether we build that under Larpcast or I'd really rather focus like having a basic directory on Larpcraft to go to other people's game systems. The other game systems have their own websites and have their own directories, so we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just got to send them to the right game system. So I think the directory for Viscenta is going to be important so that when somebody wants to host a local game, we'll help them get started. There's no cost to this stuff. We just want to help them get started right. We'll provide them with the right written material, help them with marketing and advertising if they want it. Getting something started in a local area. We want the passion to be there for everyone. And then we'll put that in our directory on Viscenta. So, and then share it with Larpcraft and the rest of the community. So I'm excited to get this back out. We've been busting out our sound system last week, getting our little stereos. So like when we did games, we had a lot of ambiance with audio. It really helps build immersion. So I would have background noises and that kind of stuff and character noises. And, when we had like areas of undead, I would have like undead spookiness, ambiance. And I would usually have like an FM broadcast. If I needed it to cover a large area, I'd hide little speakers everywhere, little radios that were battery powered or solar powered, and then have an FM broadcaster, like you see with like Christmas light displays and Halloween displays, for that kind of thing. Or I would make recordings because all of our radios have MP3 input, and I kept all that stuff because it's pretty much junk. There's like nobody else who would really want it. But for doing these types of things for games, that is really neat. So I'm excited to use all that equipment again. So we've been busting it out and putting batteries and stuff, make sure everything still works. And you get a total charge going through this stuff. And it's like, yeah, let's go. Just super exciting. The world's still falling apart. It probably will fall apart, but I don't know. The things that we're learning in these games can really help us survive whatever craziness is in the world. I know it's helped me personally, and I know it's helped others. And if we can build a game system that really focuses on teaching people the crafts that can really help save their lives, I think that's got some merit. And instead of learning like goofy pretend stuff, use real stuff in a pretend game, but then it's still a real skill that you have. Why don't more games do that is my question. Because like, you look at herbalism and naturalist stuff, there's just a ton of cool stuff you can use and make tinctures and potions, that kind of stuff that really are beneficial, and heal ailments and that kind of stuff. Like, why do we have to pretend? I mean, a lot of this stuff is safe, and you just got to learn how to do it right. And until you're comfortable doing it right, we'll just use fake props. But we want to really push people to learn this stuff. It's a lot of the old ways of healing and, things that we used to do in Europe and the Native Americans and all over the world. We've had remedies for a lot of things that are out in nature. People kind of like forgot. They're like, oh, I'll just take a pharmaceutical pill and call it a day, when there's alternate ways to that are way less expensive and more readily available and, have less side effects or even no side effects. So teaching it, might as well learn it. Use it in game if we can. And then using, historical European martial arts and, the stuff that the manuscripts say, the old scrolls, teaching people how to do this stuff the way it was really done. Changing some of it up, obviously, for safety reasons, but, there isn't a situation that I can think of where if you're going into battle, you shouldn't have your armor on. And if you don't have armor on, you'll get hurt more. And I think that's probably going to be true for the live action roleplay stuff. It is true. We know it's true. People who say, well, it's foam and you don't get hurt. Well, apparently you've not hit in the nads enough times during sparring sessions with fake foam weapons because it's still smart. Anybody who says otherwise probably hasn't fought enough, in my opinion, but hey, whatever. We'll put the safety protocols out, and I think we're going to do medium contact again, medium and heavy, and then do the SASH program like we did for last thing. So we got a specialty, a little bit more training on how to do theatrical role play of grabbing people and, wrestling around and stuff. There's an extra training for that. So until you actually pass that, you're not able to touch people. I think we had a lot of fun with that, and it was a safe way to interact. That theatrical role play really adds an element of fun. And over the years of doing it, we had 0 incidences. So I think we can do that again with Viscenta. So, okay, well, I am getting close to my filming location in the hills of the Ozarks in the middle of nowhere. So I got to kind of pay attention to where I'm going. Because there's like no address. It's like, here, stop at this mailbox, and it's over these 3 hills on this gravel road. So I'll probably get lost. But anyway, I hope you like this podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, download it, share it with others. Go to Larpcast.com. Find us on Larpcast and Viscenta. So thanks for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Game on. Okay, welcome to another Larpcast.